Hello, I'm Sue Kappas of Kappas Creations. Today I'm going to be showing you a technique that I did on a customer quilt. I'm calling it embossed letters. I had a customer who wanted letters embossed on their quilt, Wonder Woman and Girl Power. And then I also did the Wonder Woman symbol up here just to fill in that space. The procedure that I used, I will explain to you step by step. First, I printed up some letters from the computer and I taped them all together for Wonder Woman. But for the lesson today, I'm just going to show you, have your letters and put them on paper. And then I'm taking my muslin and I'm putting, or my fabric, and putting it on top. And then I am using a vanishing fabric marker. It's purple and it will disappear in a day. It just disappears with the air. If you need to remove it quicker, you can dampen it with cold water. So I'm going to trace my letter. The next step, so I have the letter traced. Now you don't want to do this days in advance because if you do, the marks will be gone and you'll have to redo it. The next thing I did was take a piece of batting, and I'm using on this particular sample, this is wool, but on my quilt behind me I used 80-20, 80% cotton, 20 polyester. And then I sit down at my sit-down machine and I stitch around my letter. The marks are gone on here because it's been a little bit of time since I did this. And I used the purple marker. So you can see it totally disappears. So stitch around it. After you've stitched around it, you need to take a scissors and trim the batting very, very close to the stitching, but do not cut your stitching. And so I just have part of it trimmed there. So once it's all trimmed, it will look like this. Now you are ready to mount your quilt with another layer of batting, and this is 80-20, and then your backing. And you put it on your, I used my long arm for the quilt up here, obviously, but you could use your domestic sewing machine. And again, stitch over the same stitching. What that first layer of batting does is it gives it dimension and fills it in nicely. This sample I used the wool and 80-20. The quilt behind me, you can see I just used 2 layers of 80-20. But one thing I also did on the quilt behind me is I used the natural batting for the letters, and then because the quilt is white, I used a white batting for the rest of the quilt. And I did that on purpose because I thought it might be nice to have just a little shadow showing through for the embossed look. Once you do that, you really need to fill in with some kind of fill so that the letters pop. And I did a couple different fills on this one, straight lines and then just a meander, just to see which one I liked and how it looks. On the quilt behind me, I did straight lines every ½ inch. And to get them nice and straight, I used the channel lock on my long arm machine. I had a customer who wanted a letter on some batik to make a pillow, so I played around with the experiment on batik. I think it turns out very nice on batik. However, batik is a little busy, so it's just very, very subtle, but I still think it made for a nice, subtle letter on a batik pillow. Thank you, and that is my method for doing embossed letters on a quilt. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you try this technique, or send me a message and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.